All right. We're going to get started this morning, a little bit earlier than normal here, but a big thank you to everyone for coming out. We've now been joined by Ryan Blaney, who's the driver of the number 12 Discount Tire Ford. Ryan, thanks for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. Before we roll into questions, if you don't mind, you've been a part of the USA documentary with the Race for the Championship. Do you mind to just, I know this past week you were kind of one of the drivers featured. Do you mind to just give us some thoughts on what that's been like, and have you found that fans have responded to that, knowing a little bit more about you personally, because you can sometimes be more one of the quiet drivers out there on a normal basis?
Yeah, it's been that's been fun, and it's been neat to be able to kind of give a little bit more access, for fans. And I feel like the response from fans and everything like that has been pretty positive. So it's been good, and I think they do a good job of kind of balancing the at-track to away track stuff. And obviously you have kind of maybe over-dramatizations of some stuff, but that's any kind of TV show. So, but I think it's been good. It's been a little bit different having people in your house wanting to film you in your home, but I think it's been pretty good, a good balancing act. So hopefully, like I said, people have enjoyed it, and that's really what it's all about, right? Just giving fans a little bit more access, kind of our week-to-week stuff, away from track stuff, even a little bit more kind of, a little bit look into like our meetings during the weekend, and not a lot of people, know all the meetings that go on and all the preparation work. So I think it's been really good, and I've been excited that the fans have enjoyed it as well.
All right, we're going to go into questions. If you have a question for Ryan, raise your hand. We'll work to get a mic to you, and we'll start with Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Road courses tend to be kind of two different strategies. Either you kind of chase stage points and kind of give up chasing the win, or you go for the win and kind of give up track position, kind of hope it kind of shakes out at the end. Curious, in your position, you guys are in a good point spot. Are you guys focused on stage points, or are you looking at the overall win more?
Yeah, I feel like we're fortunate to be in a decent spot on points. So I think you kind of see how the first stage goes for you. Maybe if you can get a little bit of points in the first stage and kind of see where everyone else is at, then maybe you flip the second one and set yourself up for the win. So I think a lot of that is how you qualify, how the first stage goes, and we've talked about this all week of different scenarios, but you see a lot of people, there's a handful of guys, there's a few guys in the playoffs that I think will flip, every stage. You got like the 9, the 20, who's probably got to win, the 8's been good he's not part of the playoffs anymore, but the 8's been really good on road courses, so he'll flip everything. So I think our strategy is seeing how the first stage goes, and then you kind of go from there.
All right, we'll go to Bob, and then Claire.
Bob Parker's Fox Sports. You have the safety meeting coming up in a little bit. What do you hope to hear from NASCAR?
Yeah, really just see what they have to say. I'm happy that we are having a meeting. That's good, and unfortunate, the circumstances that have made us have this meeting. But I don't know. I feel like just go in there and see what they have to say. And I know we have a handful of questions as drivers that we want to ask them about kind of the progression of the safety side of it. I know they're working on some stuff, rear clip stuff and things like that. So it's unfortunate that a couple guys have had to get injured to kind of realize that, that needs to be worked on. But, and that's the long-term thing, right? Like you're working on rear clips now, but you're not going to be able to implement them this year, right? That's a next year thing. So it's like, okay, what are the short-term things that we can do to try to, get these things a little safer? So we'll just see what they have to say. But it's nice that they're working on something. Like I said, it's just unfortunate. A couple guys have gotten hurt, before things have been, gotten worked on.
All right, Claire.
Claire Blaney, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. How prepared are the drivers going into the meeting? How organized, to be able to raise your hand and ask questions or know what your agenda is?
I feel like we're fairly organized. We had a meeting last week in Talladega, just the drivers and Jeff Burton, about kind of, an update on some things, got all things, from safety side to other things. And I feel like we have a pretty decent list that hopefully we can cover, throughout this meeting. So I feel like we're pretty prepared, and I'm proud of everybody for sitting down and getting prepared. And Jeff does a great job also at really organizing kind of these meetings and our strategy going in. So I think we're very prepared as a group.
And how detail-oriented do you want the information to be? How much detail do you want on the crash test? How much, some of the drivers are more mechanically inclined than others. How much do you really want to dig into it?
I want all the details possible, every little thing. I don't want anything to be vague. So I think that's everybody. So I'm not the most technical guy out there, but I want to know everything about everything. Even if I don't understand it, I want to know everything.
All right, we'll go Jenna, Greg. We'll make our way to the back.
Jennifer, AP. Hi, Ryan. Last week, Chase said that in his comments about the car, he said none of you guys are immune to it. It could be any of you this week. Do you feel safe going out in the car?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself. It's not something that I think about when I strap in the car. You think about that stuff, during the week when we have these meetings, okay, how can we improve this, all this stuff. But when I strap in the race car, I don't think about safety or my safety. I think about how to go as fast as I can. And that's just something that I have to do. If I'm thinking about multiple things, I'm not focused on the task at hand. So that's not something that pops into my head when I strap in. So that's really the best answer I can give you. That's just me personally.
All right, Greg.
Hey, Ryan, Greg Engel, Forbes. I mean, you say you don't think about it when you strap in, but I know, like, Carl Edwards told me once that one of the biggest things for a race car driver to get speed was having confidence in your equipment. And like when I was in the Army and jumping out of planes, you have confidence in your equipment. How has your confidence waned through the season as these safety issues have popped up? How do you hope that this meeting will help to restore that confidence, or do you really think it's going to matter?
I think it's going to matter, for sure. Personally, I mean, for speed and confidence in your equipment, the way I look at that is confident that my car has enough grip in it to drive it hard. I have confidence that my team has done everything possible in their power to make me as safe in the race car as they can, from making sure your seat, your headrest, your belts, everything is on par with what it should be, and that we've done our best job possible. So then that's really where I leave it. I know they do a great job at getting me all situated where I need to be, and then the confidence in the equipment side is that it's going to stick when I get in the corner. Not if something doesn't stick and I wreck, I don't think about that side as that confidence. So I feel like I have a little bit different interpretation of what he was saying in that, but I just know as a Penske group, they do an amazing job of making sure we are as locked in there as we can get. And that's really all we can do as a team and as drivers, is making sure everything is set for you as best as possible. And the other side is that side, and that can get improved from NASCAR's side. So it's a group effort. We do as much as we can. We expect them to build the cars as safe as they can as well.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll go Bruce, Lee, and then to the back.
Bruce Martin with Speed Sport. Is there a way to explain to the race fans just how different the hits feel with this car as opposed to the previous generation car? It seems like the lower speed hits have been giving guys more trouble than the big speed hits.
Yeah, it's just how rigid the cars are. I mean, there's just no give, there's no crush, right? I mean, you look at a picture of our car from last year, and you back one in the wall, and the whole rear clip's gone, right? It just folds all the way under. And that's just taking G out as it crushes until you actually get to the hard point. There is just, the hard point is immediate, so it's just, there's no crush. It's just a huge spike in G's. So that's the biggest issue. And the unfortunate side is we knew about this stuff before coming into this year. And we thought it would be okay, and it wasn't. So, it is harder. I mean, heck, you had guys saying right away, in preseason testing, like, these hits feel a lot harder than what it was last year. And to us, it's frustrating that no one listened or believed, and because we're the only ones who feel these hits, right? I mean, it's, no one from NASCAR is strapping in and going and feeling these hits. I've always said, like, all right, strap into this thing, you go wreck it at 160, with the old car, and then go wreck this new one at 160. And you tell me how you feel, and after the hit, you're going to know it's harder. So, yeah, they're definitely more stiff. I think they're good at like the really high impact, things. That's what it's designed for. But yeah, some of the medium impacts are they feel way harder than the last car. For sure.
And looking ahead to the round of 8, for the drivers that are those 8 drivers, these next 3 races after this, is that 3 of the most pressure races of the entire season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every race in the playoffs is incredibly difficult. You can't afford any mistakes. But as you get later in the rounds, it becomes even more important to not make any mistakes. So, and then especially when you get to the round of 8, you're racing against the best teams out there, right? Things like that. So, like each round, it intensifies for sure, and it gets harder and harder. But that's what it's all about. You understand that, and you just have to focus on your job.
All right, we're gonna go Lee, and then one more, and we have to wrap. Go ahead, Lee.
I'm just kind of curious, after hearing Alex Bowman when he did take that hit and telling his team that that was the hardest hit he had ever experienced. And I mean, I know I've never been in a car that wrecked, so, forgive me here, but I know that certain hits will knock the wind out of you. But there's a difference between knocking the wind out of you and knocking you silly. And I'm wondering, if you're in a position like that, do you want to have to make that decision for you personally to get out of the car? Do you want Jonathan Hassler, if he doesn't think you sound right, to get you out of the car? Alex continued, and then later we find out he's had a concussion, and I'm just kind of curious, at what point is it too much?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and, I fortunately have not been in that spot to where, knock on wood, that I've had to make that call, right? I mean, that's the hardest decision I feel like as a race car driver you'd ever have to make, is you never want to sit out. You never want to, give up your seat to somebody else, and in the playoffs too, I mean, you're giving up your championship. I mean, that's a very difficult decision for Alex and Kurt to have had to make. But at the end of the day, it's about your long-term health, and I think it was good that they were able to, in the unfortunate situation of realize I don't feel right, I need to take some time to get better. That's really tough to make, because the competitor in you always wants to keep going, but you have to take yourself out of that competition side and realize, on your personal health side, that you have to make the smart choice. So I don't know, I feel like that's a personal decision to yourself, because you're the only one who knows how you're feeling. If you feel wrong, then you have to, go see and get some help and see what they think and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that's a personal choice for you. But in the moment, Alex kept going. The adrenaline's high, and maybe you don't know that, these things, or sometimes the concussion side set in later, those effects. So, yeah, I can't tell you how Alex was feeling. I don't know, but that's an internal feeling I feel like you have to make.
All right, we're gonna take one final question.
Hey, Ryan, Trent with FrontStretch.com. The past few weeks have been pretty chaotic. The Texas race and Talladega's unpredictable, Roval's unpredictable. Someone like Christopher Bell's in a must-win situation, but you're sitting kind of right now, just by consistency and good performance. So how would you assess the last few weeks for you going into the Roval, and what you need to do to continue pushing on?
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job at Texas and Talladega of, getting good stage points, finishing really well to put us in this position. So I'm really proud of the effort, that we've made. And we had our problems at Bristol in that cutoff race, and they did a great job of kind of overcoming some issues and being able to get back out there and running. And then jumping into Texas, of being a really tough race to call, as a crew chief on when do you pit, when you don't pit. I thought we managed that race really good. And then, Miles stepping in, for Jonathan when he's suspended, to step in at Talladega, do a really good job on the box. The over-the-wall guys, the 2 replacements, they did a really great job of stepping in a high-pressure situation, going into the playoffs, and they did a great job as well. So I think we've really managed our playoffs pretty decently so far, and you just hope to continue to do that. But you have to realize that you're never safe, right? I mean, we're 32 points to the good, but that can go away really quickly. So you never get too comfortable. You're always, trying to do the same thing you've done, through the playoffs, is perform the best you can to stay in the race and keep moving on. So, all right, thank you,
All right,
everybody.
Blaney, thank you.